And so I think one of the biggest things of, doing house church and being able to kind of reconstruct church life from the inside out, it's been this sense of, having to raise our children is our responsibility. Give them a foundation of the faith is not something we can just outsource to society, outsource to school scripture, outsource to our churches even, and the kids ministries and stuff to teach them and just put them into the program and they'll understand it. I really feel like intentionality has taken a front and center role for us as adults, as humans, as parents especially, to one, understand our own faith, hence we're doing this whole series, but two, be able to pass on to the next generation so that they can start living their own faith and just have it through osmosis. It's not going to happen. It's just not.
I love what you said, because this is an example of being on the forefront thing you were saying as well, Deb. Because don't you feel sometimes, right, the secularization of this world and our values, you can just be so stunned by it. Like, you read yet another article, yet another person being cancelled, or another court case that happened, or another child, or a pro-choice rally, or whatever. And it's just, sometimes it's so confronting, and you just sit back on your bum and go, whoa, what the heck? What is happening? What's happening? And you can just be shell-shocked. That scene in what's that famous movie that I love, with the what's that word? I always get tongue-tied. That movie with Matt Damon in the war? He's a soldier in the war. Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, Saving Private. That wasn't Matt Damon.
Have you seen it? Have you seen that?
A long time ago. Yeah.
Okay, let me just give you a quick. Sorry, guys. Anyone who's listening, we've got to go off on a little tangent. But when they jump off the boat, they run behind these big metal, because they're being shot at, and they run behind these big metal. I don't know, like they're hiding behind these big metal structures, and they're getting bombarded by bombs, and they're just sitting there. You see someone curled up on the beach behind one, and the bombs are going off, and he's shell shocked. He's like that, and sometimes I think of us as Christians. These bombs are going off, and we're just curled up behind the structure, going, "What the heck is happening?" And to your point about being on the forefront and being able to step into it and go, "Hang on," and then even more than that, going, "This is not just for me, but for my kids and for the next generation." And I can't rely on while I sit here shell shocked. Hopefully, someone else is dealing with all this. Like you're saying, no, sorry. You can't just rely on that. You've actually got to rise up and step into this stuff and go, what's going on? And how am I as a parent going to navigate this stuff? I'm going to have to speak into it. Now, our small church doesn't allow us to hide very far because, well, if we don't do it, literally no one's going to do it.
I'll give an example, AIDS, even with the soccer community and youth group and, and just seeing, I guess, for our son, our year 7 boy, and just the desire for him to really find community and to be able to grow in a peer group of Christians. Like, of course, there's our extended life source youth and stuff. But then for AIDS, I think it's something that's been challenging him was the ability to be intentional about the soccer group and the parents there and creating community. So, AIDS, I don't know if you want to just share a little bit about that.
Just for context, I'm coaching my son's soccer team. I think I'm a pretty relaxed guy, and I don't. If I had a choice, I always take the least energy route. So. But I think I really just felt a conviction with my son's team that, because there was a point where, there was no one there that was going to coach it or to drive it. And I just thought, no, I think there's such a value in being part of a community. And, there's a community there when you play soccer or play a sport, not just for the sake of the kids, but actually the kids, and just even in terms of the parents and how parents interact, and that's something which over the years, just with both our boys and their soccer teams, like we've formed great friendships with the parents, and the kids have some of their closest friends are within that same network. And so I think there's a couple of things there, and which I think sort of I wanted to focus in on. And I think one of those things is in terms of typically how we construct our lives. In the past, we've tried to we have all these different activities, and then we're sort of just trying to fit all these different things in, and then layered through that is relationship and community in different parts. And I think one of those, not layered in it. I think in the past we've actually just said, community is happening here in our Connect group, Christian community is happening here in our Connect group, and church activities, etc. So it was probably more compartmentalized. And I think the thing I realized there was that there's such a value in actually being able to build in community also into the different activities that you do. And I think that actually creates more space, because then you're not always just trying to fit another thing in for the sake of it, but you're actually integrating your principles and your life into all the different activities that you're doing. So I think with the soccer, that was probably one of the driving principles behind that, and just then being intentional about that, to say, look, hey, let's take that on and get the team together, because it's a great opportunity as the team coordinator and coach to actually get to know the parents, you get to know the kids, and there's been so many great times that have come out of that, and great opportunities. So and I think it's something that I see as very valuable. And is it a formal ministry? I don't think it is a formal ministry, but it's I think being God's hand and feet, as we relate with people, and as we interact with them through the events. And there's been a lot of great conversations that we've just been able to have with different, and just them sharing their struggles, and sharing their journey, searching or not searching. There's been so many conversations, and I'm sure you've seen that already too, Deb, in the times that you come along.
Yeah, and I think, as just the takeaway from that is that it causes us as a couple as well to be on the front foot. Like it kind of create a bit of but then if we're doing summer soccer, that's a Friday night, that's clashing with youth. That means he's going to miss out on youth. And then we're like, but what do we want to try and achieve? And so is it that it's got to be one or the other, all or nothing, or that? And so it just made us have this conversation, thinking about for Zach, where does he thrive most? Where is he going to build relationships, and is it worth investing in this group of soccer parents and kids, and some of who are Christians, and trying to be intentional about that as well, and trying to kind of create deeper relationships there, as well as every second week bringing him to youth. So it's more, rather than just kind of going with what is set, like Adrian said, there are these set activities that you think are going to tick all the boxes in life, and then you just do, and you don't have to think about it. We send them off to youth, or we send them, these programs. It's more, I think as Christians, we just need to think not only for ourselves but our children about how each one, how can we help them along to experience their own faith and experience Jesus in the context of their friendships.
And it's really working out what, like you said, what is the objective that, and what's the best thing that we want Zach or, our children to get out of it. And, for youth, as an example, what's the driver? him to, have community, and to, Christian community and peers that he can, turn to. And, soccer may have conflicted with the events, but in having soccer, there was also opportunity to, build community in other ways. He was still able to attend. And like, if you actually look at it, I think it's actually quite amazing, because two of his friends now actually go to youth, when soccer's early when soccer's before youth, so they'll go after, and they want to go, so, there's a lot of, fruit that's come out of that. And if we had just been, legalistic and said, oh, well, we need to prioritize youth because, we've just made a commitment and that's the most important thing because he should go to a Christian community, etc., but not recognize the value of, having community outside of the four walls, then, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, Maids. I think the I guess one of the framing questions here, where we're linking this idea of being intentional with how it is that we, I say the word witness. How do we display Jesus in the world? How is being intentional a part of that? And that's what you just shared there is this great example. And it's really hard to narrow it into one word, because you're also showing, like what we were talking about last week, integration, the idea of integrating your social life, your physical life, your sport life, your community life, with being intentional to be a witness for Jesus. You don't do it with, you don't do it with this two ways to live tract in your hand, but you just, as you are who you are, and be who you are, you're being fragrant and you're creating opportunity. And somewhere along the lines, Adrian and Deb, you've had to give yourself permission to break away from a well-intentioned encouragement and structure to say, hey, listen, bring everyone along to a building, bring everyone along to a service, help them become saved, do something to help them become saved. And of course, that's your heart. And I think to take that to another point, we can become so good at community that we never ever get to the point of witnessing. So I feel like behind, or even building community, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to, like, do such good works in and amongst people that they will see Jesus through you and ask questions and or be there at that opportune moment because you've developed such a good friendship that they go, hey, listen, can I talk to you about something? And so what's your intention in building community? What's your intention? And so I just love that word because it's constantly realigns you. And that second question I had was, the first question was in and around how we've experienced it in our family life, or just as we've been sharing. But it's just what are the, as I said, the state of affairs for us is that unless we are intentional, we revert back to just what's always happening. And I think that, yeah, this is something that we've always challenged with, and I wonder what it is that realigns you to always try to come back to being intentional. What is it in your life that makes you, helps you come back to going, hang on, before I just get into a lull here, am I being intentional? What questions do you ask yourself? So I'll just riff off that a little bit, then you guys can jump in.